Rubber brake lines like this might be very common, but steel-braided brake lines like this are used on the fastest bikes in the world.
So they must be better, right? Does it even matter these days with ABS? Well, today we're going to go over the differences between rubber and steel brake lines, what makes each one good and bad, how to spot the difference, and which one is ultimately better for you. Now, obviously, both types of brake lines perform the same job of guiding brake fluid.
They transfer the pressure you apply to the master cylinder at the brake lever all the way to the caliper via brake fluid, which in turn squeezes the brake pads against either side of the disc to bring you to a stop.
What makes such a big difference between the two types is how they are constructed. As the name suggests, rubber brake lines are hoses made out of rubber, but they're also reinforced with aramid fibers within the rubber that help to resist expansion under pressure. And steel lines have a core hose made out of Teflon because that is resistant to the heat that brakes can experience. That is then wrapped in a stainless steel braiding, where its name comes from, which is also very strong. And then all of this gets a coating in PVC to firstly protect your bike from the rough hose, but also to stop dirt and grime from getting in between the steel braiding and the hose, because over time, if those rub together, the hose will get damaged.
Each brake line has a stereotype.
Rubber lines are famous for expanding under pressure. This means that not all the force you apply to the lever makes its way down to the brake pads. It also makes the lever feel spongy rather than nice and firm. And steel brake lines are famous for looking awesome. They're thinner, that PVC coating can be customized to any color your heart desires, and even the banjo bolts, where the hose bolts to the caliper or the master cylinder, can be customized. But ultimately, the main reason to upgrade to steel lines is durability. Because the surprising truth is that brand new rubber lines will feel near identical to steel braided lines. In fact, things like brake calipers, master cylinders, and even brake pads play a much bigger role in brake feel than the lines do when rubber lines are brand new. And that is where durability comes into the picture. Over the years, rubber lines will expand and contract thousands of times, eventually leading to them stretching. That is why most motorcycle manuals will recommend that you replace rubber lines around every 4 years or so. That's not only frustrating, but it can also get expensive. Steel lines, on the other hand, are extremely durable. Due to the steel braiding, they don't expand, so all the force you apply to the brake lever makes its way to the brake pads, and they never stop doing that.
Assuming there are no outside factors causing wear to the brake line, steel lines should easily last the lifetime of the bike.
Now, before ABS was found on every single motorcycle, upgrading your rubber lines to steel lines was a very cheap, easy, and common upgrade to do.
It was one of the first mods I did to my R6 back in 2018 because of those reasons.
But these days, brake lines first have to head to an ABS pump before they can head to the brake caliper. This means more hose, more banjo bolts, and more money.
It was something I wanted to do on my MT-09 a few years back, but it would have cost about 5 times more than when I did it on my R6, all because of ABS.
You can of course still buy steel lines that bypass the ABS pump, but they're mostly intended for track use.
For the rear brake, the line would then go straight from the master cylinder to the caliper, and in the front, you would get 3 layout options. The best is the race layout, where there are 2 hoses going from the front master cylinder, 1 to each brake caliper. You can also have a T-junction in the line to split the hose off to each caliper, or have 1 hose going from the master cylinder to 1 caliper, and then another hose joining the calipers together over the mudguard.
This is also the cheapest and easiest way to do an ABS delete. My R1 here still activates the ABS pump, but since it's not plumbed into the braking system, it doesn't actually interfere.
So that's why more affordable bikes that aren't super focused on performance come with rubber lines from the factory, and why expensive, high-performance bikes, or even just bikes that are high quality or that are expected to be super durable, come with steel lines.
Ultimately, if you find yourself having to replace your rubber lines due to regular maintenance, Rather just save yourself some time and money in the long run and pick out a gorgeous set of steel lines. But anyway, let me know which brake lines your bike has and if you've ever considered changing them, and I'll see you on the next ride.